The Vikings are just the worst. Now, I picked them to lose. I knew they weren't going to win, but I was really hoping Justin Jefferson was going to shut up Jair Alexander, and he didn't do that. I mean, I still think it was silly of Jair to call Jefferson's game a fluke against them, considering he's about to break 2,000 yards, but what did Jefferson have, like one catch? Ugh. And it doesn't help that Kirk Cousins decided to bring his worst game, but I mean, good God, guys. Anyway, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and welcome to my Week 17 NFL reactions. Now, normally this would be where the season ends, but not anymore since we added that extra game in. Is that good or bad? Do you guys like it or not? I know some teams kind of want the season to end right now, but other teams are happy that this extra game gives them a chance to make it to the postseason. Anyway, before we hop into the video, we got a couple of quick plugs. One, head over to gfuel.com, use code WyattzWorld, save yourself a discount on any G Fuel products. And second, if you're 18 years or older, head over to Prize Picks, the daily fantasy app where code WyattzWorld will match up to $100 of your first deposit. Remember, always play responsibly, and let's get into my reactions. Alright, so starting off with the first game of the week, we had the Cowboys at the Titans, and it took the Cowboys a little bit to come back to life and get it together, but they did, and they ran away with it. So you can see Dak had another 2 interceptions, but I'm starting to notice that every single game he has 1 interception that is at one point in his receiver's hands, but they just can't hang on to it. Zeke had another rushing touchdown. I think that's 8 games in a row he has scored at least 1 now. That is crazy to see. Receivers were on 1. CD had 11 for 100. Schultz had 7 for 56. TY had 4 for 50. He's making a bigger splash than I thought. And their defense obviously did their job. Peeking over at the Titans super quick, their starting quarterback was Josh Dobbs, who was there on like a 48-hour notice, kind of like Baker Mayfield in LA. He did have his first passing touchdown of his career, if I heard correctly though, so good job, Josh. Aside from that, really nothing happened there. Robert Woods had a touchdown. Their run game was dead. There was no Derrick Henry, so essentially their whole offense was dead. I didn't know he wasn't gonna play. Yeah, pretty lousy day from Tennessee, although there was 2 interceptions from Kevin Byard, sorry. I know I probably say that wrong. What is the correct way? Fucking Minnesota accents. Anyway, moving on to the next game, we have the Cardinals at the Falcons. And remember when I told you guys that I didn't give a shit about this game, but the Falcons would win by a couple points? Well, I was right. The starting quarterback for Arizona was David Blau, by the way. I thought it was Trace McSorley. He didn't do that bad, but the team is just in a weird place right now. I don't think there's any morale. There's no motivation. Kind of just a poor performance by Arizona altogether. Matt Prater had 13 points, though, so good job for him. Looking over at Atlanta, honestly, they didn't do all that well either. They only won by a point, but Desmond Ridder, he was 19 for 26. Still can't get anything going passing, though. He doesn't have a touchdown yet. The running game, they continue to be the reason this team keeps winning. Patterson and Alligator, they're both logging in a touchdown. Koo had 8 points there, but obviously their receiving game can't really be alive when you don't have a guy who can throw touchdowns. I know this team could use a lot of things, but heading into the offseason, you gotta think a quarterback is their top priority, and probably Derek Carr at this point. Desmond's career is not over, man, but you need somebody who can throw touchdowns. Like, you have to have it. All right, next up we have the Dolphins at the Patriots and Miami. 5 in a row! I remember I saw on Twitter some fucking Dolphins fan bathing in ice after they beat the Bills, saying that they were getting ready for the AFC Championship weather in Kansas City. Shut the fuck up! I mean, look at this. Yeah, it sucks you don't have Tua, but even with Tua, you guys haven't been winning, man. Why was Mostert your leading receiver, by the way? I mean, seriously, how backwards is this? Mostert has the receiving touchdown and Tyreek has the only rushing touchdown? That's just fucked up. I wish I could say I feel bad for the Dolphins, but I don't. Now, looking over at the Patriots side of things, you know, the winners of this game. Mac Jones had a pretty good day. Again, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks, 20 for 33. The run game apparently did their part. They didn't score any, but their receivers did twice. Defense had a couple interceptions, a couple sacks, and they definitely played good enough to shut down the almighty, I wish it were colder Miami Dolphins. All right, up next, we got the Saints at the Eagles and Philadelphia. What happened? Seriously, what the fuck? You guys not only completely jeopardized your #1 seed spot, but you jeopardized your division title. You guys didn't even have to beat a lot here. You had to beat the Saints, the 6-9 at the time Saints. The Saints, whose offense only scored 1 touchdown the whole day, and it was Taysom Hill. I don't even know what to say. Like, you look at this team and you would have thought this was a losing team. Although Rashid Shaheed continues to just be one of the most explosive players I've ever seen. I don't know what it is with this guy, and I've probably said it before. Every time I look at the TV screen, this guy is just running down the field for like a 30-yard play. Now, looking over at the Eagles side of things, it's kind of weird. Gardner didn't do that bad, and the receivers were great. Look at the defense. The defense played well. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sacks? You want to know why Philly lost this game? I'll tell you right now. Because without Jalen Hurts, they don't have a run game. But look at any game with Jalen Hurts when they play. There's at least 4 guys, it feels like, who have 50 yards or more and a touchdown each. Without Jalen Hurts, the run game is completely absent. I don't know why, but if he's not playing, the Eagles probably are not going to go far. All right, next game we got is the Colts at the Giants, and the Giants clinched the playoffs for, I think, the first time in like 7 years. Congratulations, I sincerely mean that. First off, with the Colts, you guys suck, you're terrible, you already know that. I will say, it was funny, but not funny at the same time when Nick Foles got hurt and Kayvon Thibodeau was making snow angels in the ground next to him. Like, he didn't know that Foles was hurt, but I mean, it's pretty funny. Either way, moving on to the Giants, Daniel Jones went off. 4 total touchdowns, almost 200 passing yards, almost 100 rushing yards, completing 19 out of 24. The receivers continue to be a group of guys who I'm certain were bagging groceries a week ago, but hey, if you're able to make it work, Danny, then good for you. 7 for 76, 4 for 42, a touchdown each for the top 2. Defense clearly played well enough to beat the Colts. Giants are kind of hot going into the postseason, man. I'm curious to see if they can close out the season with the win next week. All right, moving on to the next game. It is the Panthers at the Bucks, and I'm disappointed that there wasn't more controversy. I wanted to come up with excuses, but I can't. The only excuse I have is that the Panthers forgot their contact lenses to see Mike Evans because apparently they didn't want to guard him one time. Sam Darnold, he played very well, I must admit. 341 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns. DJ Moore, 6 for 117 and a touchdown. Shai Smith, 4 for 70 and a touchdown. This kind of sucks that their run game was so dead, and honestly, Dante Foreman might be the most inconsistent rusher I've ever seen in my life. Dude, one week this guy will go out and have 10 carries for 240 yards and 3 touchdowns, and the next week he'll have 13 carries for 35 yards. Like, why? If we want to peek over at the Bucs side of things, Tom Brady was Tom Brady. 432 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns. Run game was completely dead. Leonard Fournette decided to stay in bed and eat ice cream, but that's fine because Mike Evans had 10 receptions for 207 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's what I was fucking talking about earlier. Every time I looked at red zone, he was running down the field with the ball in his hand and like 5 defenders behind him. On top of that, Chris Godwin had 9 receptions for 120. Like, the receiving game in Tampa Bay this week was what it should have been all year long. All right, next up, we got the Broncos at the Chiefs. And what do you know, honestly? One game without Sackett and the Broncos offense can function like that. There's no secret there, guys. Chiefs narrowly won, but I think this was a win for Denver overall. This gives you guys hope going into next season. I mean, look at Russ. Yeah, he had a pick, but he also had a passing touchdown and 2 rushing touchdowns. Without Russell Wilson, this game was not a game. Look at their receivers. Look how many people were present time after time after time. Another note, other than it being concerning that their offense was so good so fast, it's a little concerning that their defense got destroyed like it did. Justin Simmons picked off Mahomes in the red zone, but other than that, they didn't really do much. Peeking at Kansas City, Mahomes was Mahomes, 328 yards, 3 passing touchdowns. Pikachu had a rushing touchdown, but after that, he was actually kind of shut down. However, it doesn't really matter because that's not where the story of the game lays. It lays in their receivers. Look at this. 11 different men involved. And Jerick McKinnon, also, by the way, 2 more touchdowns, continues to be one of the hottest players in football. This game was a battle of who could get more people involved on offense, and the Chiefs did it, therefore they got away by 3 points. But honestly, between the 2 teams, it looks like there was about 30 goddamn weapons used. After that, we've got the Bears at the Lions, and boy, was I right about this one. I said it, the Lions were going to win, and they were going to face the 8-8 Packers in Week 18 for a potential wild card spot. Now, this game is kind of sad to look at as a Chicago fan, because honestly, the blame pretty much falls one place, and that is Justin Fields' passing. I mean, as a runner, he continues to be one of the most electric players in the league. He has potential to be one of the best quarterbacks we're ever going to watch, but if his passing continues to be as inconsistent as this, and it continues to hurt your receivers like this, it's going to be hard to call you guys contenders going forward, in future future years. Now, peeking at Detroit, they went off. And Green Bay, I hope you're taking them lightly because you guys are going to have your hands full. Jared Goff, 21 for 29, 255, 3 more touchdowns. His last 8 weeks, 15 touchdowns, 0 picks. Jamal Williams, 144 yards, a touchdown. D Swift, 78 yards, another touchdown. Look at their receivers. I mean, nobody had a huge day, but like Kansas City, there was a million different people involved. And this is the best part of the whole day for Detroit. I'm so proud of you guys. Look at this defense. Jesus fucking Christ. If I hadn't known any better, this was the 76 Steelers. God, please bring that energy next week to Green Bay or wherever that game is. All right, moving on to the next game, we got the Browns at the Commanders, and I was 100,000 billion gajillion quintillion% right about this game. I mean, I got the score exactly right. I pretty much predicted how the game would go exactly right. I was just right. First and foremost for Cleveland, Watson started off horribly and then basically did all of this in the second half of the game. It was kind of wild. Chubb also did good, 14 for 104. I mean, that's Nick Chubb for you. Amari had a Randy Moss day, 3 for 105 and 2 touchdowns. And obviously their defense played well, picking off Carson Wentz 3 times. Now, why don't we go over and look at Washington really quick? This will take about 2 seconds. If you play stupid games, you will win stupid prizes. And this game you guys decided to play was called Carson Wentz. Look at Terry's stats. That's about exactly what I said was gonna happen too. Ron Rivera should be fired. Did you see? He didn't know you guys could be eliminated until after this game. He didn't know till the press conference. What a disgrace. Next game we got is the Jags at the Texans. 31-3 when you had 2 quarterbacks throw 2 interceptions and you really only let 1 running back go off. Etienne had 100 yards, 12 yards a blast, but other than that, I mean, Hasty and Connor scored, but they weren't productive. Yet this team was able to win 31-3 because the Texans are that horrible. Let's go check out the Texans. Let's see this. Look at the rushing! 7 carries for 21, 7 carries for 19. I'm done. I'm not giving this team attention. All right, next game we got is the 49ers at the Raiders, and this might be game of the year contention. I didn't get to see all of it, but it looked to be an absolute electric factory. I mean, Brock Purdy and Stitham both played great. We can see right here, Purdy had 284 yards, 2 passing touchdowns. McCaffrey, 19 attempts for 121 yards, a rushing touchdown. Jordan Mason had a rushing touchdown. Brandon Ayuk had 9 receptions for 101 yards, a score. Christian McCaffrey, 6 for 72. This game looked to be crazy, and it looked to have a ton of people involved. We'll say it's a little bit odd though that San Francisco did not sack Stitham once. They had 2 picks, but they didn't sack him, and that's almost a given for San Francisco. Well, looking over at the Raiders, Stitham 365, 3 touchdowns. Now he had 2 picks, but that can kind of be overlooked when you're going to OT against who I consider the best team in the league. Devontae Adams had 7 receptions, 153 yards, 2 touchdowns. Darren Waller had 72 yards and a touchdown. I mean, this really was just a back and forth battle, man. And I hate that I'm saying this, but, you know, looking at the receiving stats of this game, you probably would have thought Derek Carr was playing, and he wasn't. I still think he deserves a ton better than he was given. I'm just saying that Stitham was actually very, very good. Next game we got is the Jets at the Seahawks, and Geno eliminated his former team. Oh, how sad. Guys, I'm gonna clear the air here, and I'm sorry, but Mike White fucking sucks too. Like, I mean, he's not much better than Zach Wilson. Ever since his breakout game, I think he's had 0 touchdowns and like 4 or 5 picks. And maybe Zach Wilson's mom was right. Maybe it's just impossible to succeed here. Now, looking at the Seahawks, it's still kind of weird. I mean, Geno had a good game, 2 touchdowns, 183 yards. Kenneth Walker balled out 103 rushing yards. But their receivers are about as unusual as I could have pictured. DJ Dallas was the leader, and in second is Noah Fant. Tyler Lockett is in 4th with 2 receptions at 15, and at the bottom is DK Metcalf at 1 reception for 3 yards. Like, New York secondary, they played well, but Seattle was able to figure out a different way to score and make it happen. Moving on, we got the Vikings versus the Packers, and yeah, we already kind of went over this one already. I don't want to spend a lot of time here, so we're not going to. Lousy game, one of the worst games I've watched as a Minnesota fan. Kirk Cousins, that was one of the worst games I've ever seen him play as a Viking. Justin Jefferson was held to 1 reception for 15 yards. I mean, it was just bad. It was bad, bad, bad. It's even more sad to look because Green Bay threw up 41 points, and you would have thought Aaron Rodgers would have thrown for like 500 yards. No, 150. Aaron Jones just ran for 111. A.J. Dillon ran for another 40 and a touchdown. Rodgers ran one in. Tunyon got one, and their defense picked off Kirk Cousins every time he threw the fucking ball. Fuck the Vikings. All right, next up, we got the Rams at the Chargers. Not gonna lie, I didn't know this game happened until right now. Like, I heard nothing about it. Judging by the box score here, Baker didn't really have a lot of opportunities. He only threw the ball 19 times. However, Cam Akers, 19 carries for 123 yards. Like, is he good now? Do I need to apologize to him? Malcolm Brown, he's back on the Rams, I guess. He had a touchdown, and their defense looks like they just got their heads kicked in. Peeking over at the Chargers, they had a great day on offense. Herbert was 21 for 28, 212, and 2 touchdowns. Eckler had 10 carries, 122 yards, and 2 more touchdowns. Mike Williams was solid, 7 for 94. Keenan was 5 for 60. Eckler was involved there, 4 for 39. Hope that this team continues to play like a playoff team, because I have a really weird feeling you're going to get to the first round and get bounced, just because that's what the Chargers do. All right, and finally, we got the Sunday night showdown, the Steelers at the Ravens, and we got to see Kenny Pickett ball out a little bit at the end. He had some heroics. Also, we got to see Stone Concrete Shoes himself, Najee Harris, pretty much be the reason that they won this game other than Kenny Pickett. Najee had 22 carries, 111 yards. He was a physical force driving them down the field, and he also had a receiving touchdown. Defense played well. Minka got a pick, TJ got a sack, and the Steelers remained to pretty much be in playoff contention somehow, some way. Looking over at the Ravens, yeah, you guys, like, you need Lamar Jackson. Without Lamar, you guys are gonna lose these games that you should be winning. You should have won this game. J.K. Dobbins, 17 carries for 93 yards. Mark Andrews, 9 receptions for 100. One more touchdown wins you guys this game. Lamar Jackson, that's a rushing touchdown guaranteed right there. I feel bad a little bit, but like, I mean, this has got to be eye-opening. Look at the fucking receivers here. Other than Mark, nobody did anything. You're 10-6. You could afford to lose, but now you're in a rough spot this last week, Baltimore, and good luck to you. All right, guys, and that was all for my Week 17 NFL reactions. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, you already know what to do. Comment, like, subscribe, turn that bell on. I do my best to post every single day. I do want to say right now, I'm going to get this edited as fast as possible so I can get prepared for the game tonight. I hope to see you guys in a good attitude tomorrow, but I can't guarantee it. Go Bills. Have a great one, you guys. I will see you in the next video.